Thank you, Boryana, again for sharing your beautiful work with us and accepting to share it with the crypto fiction viewers. First of all, we all know that you're an amazing artist in several different fields, from electronic media to film, video, performance, photography. You're doing several amazing work in different fields. So how do you see this particular work in the body of your work and its relationship to the body of your work?
Mm-hmm. Well, this is early work that I made when I was 26 years old. And it was kind of one of the pieces that started my career. I made a lot of different things before that, but this was one that got a lot of international exhibitions and screenings. And I think to some extent it includes in itself a lot of elements or a lot of topics that I'm working on currently, or later on I started working on. So if we talk about it as a topic, it was made in the 90s when the transition from socialism to capitalism was happening in Bulgaria. And this was a time which was, and actually still is, it's still considered to be a transitional period in Eastern Europe. For some people it ended anyway, but the thing is that there's so many things that were happening that were either unexpected or unwanted, or some things were very exciting, and the constant change of politics and constant change of attitude of society was very present. So there were a lot of emotions that were really polar. So to me, it was a time of also a freedom, because this was a time when political talk was not censored in any way. It has been censored before, and now it is censored in a different way. But the moment when transitions are happening, this is usually, although they are very upsetting moments, those are moments of excitement, because you can really figure out what you're doing, and you can be free of what you want to do, and what is your position, what is your political and social position. So this is what I wanted to express with the faces of these girls that are changing rapidly from excitement to fear. But also for me, when I started working with them, I had to give them a task, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about the formal side of the piece. So as actresses, they had to figure out how to react. This is one take. Actually, the whole video is a performance, and to a big extent, it also reflects the way how I work with video and with film. I start with performance art. I start with something which is continuous acting without too much cut. So this is just one shot, and they had to have a very clear idea of what they're doing. So in my childhood, like the 80s, this was still a childhood for me. There was this moment in which the space shuttle Challenger exploded in front of the eyes of everybody. So I have been thinking about it as a tragic moment, but at the same time, as something that can show how a very short moment, twinkling, like a second, can be substantial and changing completely the world. And at the same time, there is time in which nothing is happening, and nothing is changing. So they had the task to imagine being an audience of something that they expect to be exciting, and to be celebrated for a long, at least for 15 minutes, if not for hours. And then suddenly something is happening, and then suddenly things come back, and then again they change. So this was the vision that I gave them, and this is how they reacted to it.
Yeah,
so,
it was interesting because instead of in your work, you stretch the time, and instead of showing the action, you show the reaction, and we see how they respond to this action or something that you show them, and you stretch the time and you emphasize on the time.
Yeah. It was actually, I think it is 30 seconds or a little bit more. The shot is maybe 30 seconds, and then it is stretched to a minute and 40
Yeah, yeah.
seconds.
And
Yes,
how,
by
because
going back and forth. Yes.
yeah, yeah, there's something that I noticed that you mentioned on your website that a still from the video has been featured on the cover of the catalog of the exhibition Global Feminism in 2007 at Brooklyn Museum. How do you connect the piece to feminism, and how do you relate the topics?
Well, I think, I not think, but I state, I want to say that regardless of what I'm doing is an art piece and what kind of topic I'm dealing with it through a feminist lens. So I consider all of my pieces to be feminist pieces. Maybe some of them don't directly deal with women issues or with women topics, but these ideas are reflected through a feminist lens. So this is how so it's the view of a woman or a girl or young woman on what is happening in my country, or what is happening politically when transitions of different systems are happening. So that's why I chose also to have these two girls expressing their feelings, as opposed to having a male face. And it obviously I want to make a statement that is larger than this is how women perceive the world, or it is only about women, or we're focusing on the women's world. But I want to feature women, and I quite often feature women in my work, also for the reason of having more the idea of the woman as a human being that participates in everything in society as important. Because we've seen a lot of topics that are important for everyone, which are thought about or reflected or discussed about only by men, and they claim to be universal, but quite often the other points of view are missing. So I, in a way, when I use more women, I can say, well, I'm reversing the position here, and I'm thinking about okay, can we also talk about all these valid topics that are important for everyone, but having a little more women as visuals present in our discussions.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that you show them and emphasize on their feeling with something that you had in your mind, the political changes at the time. But I can, as a viewer, I can connect and relate to the piece as in a personal level as well. So I feel like these fluctuation of the emotion that we experience through these viewers can happen to any of us at any moment, and how we sometimes are not cautious of anything that's happening to us, and how we can impact others or affect others with our emotion, or with everything that's happening within us, deeply affecting us. And it shows the importance of sometimes protecting ourselves and protecting others as we're going through something, or as we're experiencing something. But I wonder if when you showed this with different exhibitions or different venues, how people responded to the piece.
Mm-hmm. So in the Global Feminisms exhibition, the piece was framed by the curator a little bit differently. And I think it was framed to be understandable, or to be to reflect the discussions that are happening in the United States. So it was the text on the wall were saying that it is a piece about women hysteria. I was not very happy about this, but anyway, it was the way
It was chosen by them, not you.
Yeah, this was not my text. And maybe so it appeared to be a double edged sword. I think this is the saying, because because it was everywhere. Also, it was on the cover of the catalog. It was on all of the posters all over the New York City subway, and on the on the museum as well, because on t-shirts and mugs. So I think some people got very annoyed by it, because it is apparently about women hysteria. I don't know. And so there were some reactions of some people who were saying like, this is essentialist piece. It is all about women shouting and screaming, and maybe it's enough to even talk about this. And I was a little upset about this. But so sometimes, depending on how your piece is framed and where it is put in and how it is displayed, there are reactions that are happening because of this, not because of the piece that you're showing. So this is one reaction. Otherwise, I know the way how it was seen in Bulgaria. It was actually curated by Ileana Netkova and Nina Tsegledi. Those are two curators, feminist curators, who were working on within the field of video art and media art, especially in Eastern Europe, focusing on Eastern Europe. So Ileana also screened the piece all over Europe in different contexts that were related to Eastern Europe. And I think this is where the meaning came true as such, as the way how I was thinking about it. It became very popular piece, and I think people are also enjoying it on a very formal level, as also as at the time I was also VJing a lot at techno parties, and I was doing a lot of experiments with found footage and with fast cuts, or even inventing certain funny techniques of using the keyboard of the computer to manipulate video live. And so this also was reflected in the piece, in the way how it looks like. So I think it's aligned with this culture of techno culture, and the thinking about the technology as being a tool for expression for younger generation artists.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, well, the last thing I want to say is that recently my son, who is, well, actually he watched it when he was 6 years old, and he didn't know that I made it, and he was very excited about it, because he's playing with the computer in the same way with the slider on a YouTube, and he goes back and forth. So I even have a video, like appreciation video, of him saying, "Guys, you have to watch it. Look at this. This is crazy." Like, okay, so it is still current.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, because when I watching this, I watched it a few times. It's so meditative, just looking at them and seeing this deep emotion by a person and looking at it and staring at their emotion is very interesting. But the process of the emotion is very interesting as well. They're looking at something, and then at the end they look at each other. They look at the screen or something, or the action, and then they look at each other. Did you do it on purpose?
Yeah. So yeah, we had several takes. I just choose one of them. We had to somehow we were thinking of having this. So they're watching it, something is happening for them in their society in front of their eyes, and this is something that reflects on them. It's not only, they're not just viewers, they're not somebody who is emotional but passive viewer. It's a viewer that somehow would react to this, and so yeah, for me, a lot of the changes that were happening in Bulgaria back then were dividing. There were not all of them were like this, but many of them were about division, and so it kind of came as a little bit like a play. It came as their reaction of being frustrated, of being next to each other and reacting to everything so emotionally. But then it kind of made sense in the way how I wanted to show that the society is becoming less united, and this kind of went gradually towards dissociation of people, people losing their togetherness.
Yeah, I can tell. It's beautifully done, and it's beautiful. I think the message came across when I was watching this. I got it exactly as you probably. I wasn't sure that it was a plan or it was your intention, but I felt the same way, and I had this feeling that sometimes we supposed to react to something that's happening, but start having confrontation between each other, or being divisive around an idea that we should be united against or pro something. It's a very good representation of a polar or divisive situation.
Mm-hmm.
A polarized situation, or the divisive situation, or divisive countries. Something else that I wanted to ask you, if you, in general, when you make a piece, a film, video, I know that you're making a documentary right now and you're in process of making different projects, but are you concerned about your viewer? Do you think about the viewer and the way that they perceive your work at all?
Yeah, of course. I don't want to make art to put it on a shelf or to just please somebody who is going to buy it, or for myself. I think artists are given talents to express ideas through these different mediums that are beyond words. And quite often they, through this, they're able to create a space that is more discursive, more open for interpretations, as opposed to, let's say, written text or spoken text. When it goes through artistic talent, then or through art form, then it can create this discussion field. So it is really important for me that that I have an audience. I cannot, and I don't want to direct my audience the way how they are going to interpret my piece. So I'm even okay with the women hysteria interpretation of this piece. If somebody thinks that this is what it is, or it is useful for something, okay, let's see. But yeah, I still want my messages to go through, and to at least to some extent. So that's why I very carefully think about the way how I'm doing work, and how later on I talk about it as well. Yeah, it is important that my audience is first emotionally engaged. This is the first step to me. I get people emotionally engaged, and this is the role of art. And then they get into the space where they can discuss issues or talk about their thoughts, or even only about their emotions. If it is only about emotions, it is still a success for me.
Yeah. Your work definitely opens some discussions. All of your work that I've seen, you open discussion for the viewers in a deeper level, especially because you're working on feminism, gender representation, and all of the amazing topic that you're working on. We have only a couple of minutes. I wanted to ask you if you want to just quickly talk about your upcoming projects, the projects that you're working on right now.
Yeah, I'm working on a documentary that you've mentioned, which is about the relationship between media theorist and art historian Walter Benjamin and theater director Asya Latsis. Apparently, she has been very influential to him, and her name is almost forgotten, or if at all known. In the West and Eastern Europe, it is a little bit more known because she has been a successful theater director. So for me, they, as a creative couple that also had some personal relationship, is a very interesting model of what are the dynamics within creative relationships. I'm not focusing so much on the fact that she's not that well known, but rather on his diaries and her diaries when they talk about the way how they communicated and how they came up with certain ideas that are shared. So this is important for me because these creative collaborations, they have been existing through history. They have not been analyzed too much. There is somebody who is praised as an idol, and the people around him quite often are just neglected. So this, and I just want to transfer it or project it on current relationships, of creative relationships, as well as to talk about certain topics that are important. One of them is war. Walter Benjamin took his life during the Second World War because he was running from Nazi Germany. But not only this, it's in her and his works the topic of violence and the idea of peace and the idea of art as a tool, as a political and social tool appears. So this is an important topic for me. And the last thing, which is more specific, is performance art, because the term performance art kind of appeared in the 60s, and it is a Western term, but at the same time, there is a practice of performance art that comes from both art and theater from around the world. And we can see this in her writings that are from the 20s. When she writes about theater and the way how she wants to take the gesture from the street, bring it to the theater, make it a theater, and bring it back to the street. Wow. So this is a very social and political and performative way of thinking about theater.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. When do we see this?
Well, hopefully I'll be ready. I aim finishing.
Just apologize. I stopped it. I think we are going just few seconds that run off.
Yeah. The time. Yeah, the time. Yeah, we have a few. Yeah, we have a few seconds. Thank you so much, Boryana.